talking about the penis. We'll be talking about the vagina. Do you think that's funny, butthead? Do you find it amusing that we'll be talking about the testicles?
Hello people on the internet, my name is Ro. I'm a pre-testosterone trans man hoping to get treatment very soon. Okay, so you're interested in anything transgender whatsoever. No matter if you're cis or trans, you've clicked on this for a reason and you want to learn more. Before we get into anything, let me just clarify that this little one-to-one lesson is going to go over almost anything related to the transgender topic. We're going to look back at the medical evidence, our history, and I'm going to debunk some misconceptions because there are a lot, man. And most importantly, if you have any questions whatsoever about trans people or being trans, maybe something you've been afraid to ask, something you're just not certain about, please feel free to ask me down in the comments and I will respond. And if there's enough comments or questions, which I doubt there will be, I will make a video responding to them. So yeah. The medical evidence section is going to take up by far the most time because there is so much to go through and many people are spreading the wrong information. And in my opinion, it's the most important one because TERFs and other transphobic people, being one consciously or not, go for the science. A lot of homophobes and the like don't believe anything LGBTQ is based in science for some reason. I had a lady once I was having a one-sided argument with on BLUESKY about gay animals, and when I told her, lady, I'm studying biology at one of the best courses, animal management, I know all about behaviours and the science of it, and she told me to change my college because they would teach me wrong. Girl, I don't know if you believe in this school system, but here in the UK, they tend to teach us the right things. In my experience, anyway. This video is also for those who are transgender and might not be sure about their identity or feel like they aren't valid medically or emotionally. I felt like that a bit as well before I did the research for this video. So I get you, I understand you, we listen, we don't judge. And I've been planning to record this video for so long, but I've had so many setbacks. I went on holiday, break, lovely, came back, depressed for a few days, eczema was really bad, I lost my hair, device, it makes my hair beautiful and fluffy, but you know, what you gonna do? But you're all here to learn, so let's put on our biologist boots and get wading through the gene pool. So as most of us watching this should know, gender and sex are two separate terms that mean completely different things. Sex is the hormonal, physical, chromosomal system that produces our body. It means nothing about who we are, but a lot of the time people's genders align with their sex. And of course there is intersex people. They're not a mutation, as some people do say. They're actually just another genetic variation. Some people are born with testicles and a penis, while half of their testes could be formed with ovarian tissue. Some have 3/4 of a vagina, some have a vulva, vagina, and testes. And although it isn't possible to have all at once, I think there's certainly a lot of possibilities. I needed that. Wait. When I was in Menorca, I found these miniature palette like coasters, and I love them so much, and I have like 5 of them. Okay, sorry. Gender is something different, something with a broader range and a meaning, and something that makes some people feel uncomfortable to talk about. It was thought up until recent developments in science that there were 2 genders, man and woman. There is an amazing video that I would recommend watching about like gender and sex. It's called Never About Chromosomes by Expert Opinions on YouTube. It told me a lot and I would definitely recommend it. It makes sense why this isn't widely understood. In a stricter society where women are the caretakers and the wives, and it was said having children is the best thing a woman can do, and where men were the breadwinners, the fighters, and there wasn't an opportunity for anything else really. It's clear why people only said there were only two genders, because everything else was stereotyped and categorized and made to fit a nuclear family. But we know now that there's more. I'll be going more into that in the next section, so stick around. Without getting too deep into it, gender is a social construct based on behaviors, roles, and just generally how you feel. The neurons in your brain align with your gender, even if that differs from what hormones you produce. People with PCOS even produce a male hormone called androgen, which causes facial and body hair, and sometimes even baldness. I'm sure all of you know at least one person with PCOS, because personally I know two people, my sister and my friend, and I love them. With what I just said about the female sex experiencing androgen, it's clear that both sexes can express both hormones, especially in intersex people. So, here's a question. Do chromosomes decide gender or sex? The thing is that it's a very widely accepted idea, and I even thought it was real until I was proved wrong. If you are raising your eyebrow at this, just hang in there and I will explain, because I get how you'd be put off. People assume that XX equals female and XY equals male. However, it's been found through the 1.7% of the population that are intersex that this is not the case. Let's just look at AIS, androgen intensity syndrome. People with XY chromosomes may develop female sex organs and identify as women because their body doesn't respond to testosterone. This does not mean they are broken or a mutation. It is just a normal variation, and they exist just as valid as all the females and males. And there's even multiple chromosome patterns that differ from XX and XY, including XXX, X0, XXY, XYY, XXYY, and a few more. So that just goes to show that it isn't chromosomes that build gender, or sometimes sex. It's just another variable in the anatomy. But you may be wondering, Ro, where are you getting all this information from? You have to have some form of evidence. Shh. It's all linked in a post I made in my BLUESKY, which I will link in the bio. But moving on, science has figured out now that the neurons in the brain don't necessarily match sex in the case of transgender people. It's difficult to read scientific documents, so that's why I'm reading them for you and then spitting them back out in video format. Studies show that transgender brains exhibit features aligned with their gender identity from early life and development, which includes structural or functional patterns most similar to their gender. This study shared by the National Institutes of Health is a really amazing piece of our history now, with studies proving we transgender people are possible. It's so that we have to prove ourselves, but in a society like this where our rights are crumbling, it is very much needed. In fact, being transgender was thought to be mental illness up until 2013, when the term gender identity disorder changed to gender incongruence or gender dysphoria. Now we can really understand the science backing gender dysphoria and being transgender, we can start to learn about our history, because that is so important in a community like this. 3,000 years ago, we were understanding that there were multiple genders, multiple identities. From Native American Two-Spirits to Polynesian Samoan Fa'afafine to ancient civilizations, we've understood that for a while, obviously. Then we stopped. The idea of that was smushed out, and the nuclear family was pushed into every corner of the world via colonization. And now we barely have any understanding of what gender really is. But I've just told you all about gender, and you should feel your big brain expanding. In the National Geographic's exploration into our history, they write that the term transgender wasn't coined until the 1960s, but people have always challenged the gender binary. And it is true. They go on to write about how in 1952, a 26-year-old Christine Jorgensen wrote to her family after undergoing medical procedures in Denmark. She wrote to them, "Nature made a mistake, which I have corrected. and I am now your daughter. Queen! She's such a diva, I love her. When I was reading a transgender issue, which you should 100% read if you're interested in this, by the way, I learned about how medical procedures went back all this way. Some occurred in the 1930s, and the aspects of sex changes and gender were really being explored back then. John Money did a lot of research and work around gender and sexuality. However, he is not the greatest guy. He's like the Sigmund Freud of biology. He made breakthroughs, but genuinely we hate that guy. Aside from that, we also have some evidence of a Roman emperor, I think, being a transgender woman, so I will read you a quote from that now. During the short reign of Roman emperor best known as Elagabalus, who ruled from CE 218 to 222, the male-born leader adopted feminine dress, requested to be referred to as she, and expressed a desire for genital removal surgery. Shunned and stigmatized, Elagabalus was assassinated at age 18 and thrown into the Tiber River. We knew already that the Roman Empire was rich in gay men and polyamory, but now we can understand that transgender people were a part of their history as well. In the early 20th century, the idea of gender and sex were being explored by researchers like Magnus Hirschfeld and his Institute for Sexual Research located in Germany, which was founded in 1919. That was a large sentence. Wow. This place had breakthroughs in hormonal therapy and sex change operations, and even though they weren't at the time the safest, they were still really good. If you just look through this article, it's astonishing how many transgender people existed in the past, especially when history books try to stomp us out so much. And in many cultures across the globe, although some practices have been hushed, they embraced or even celebrated trans identities. So many cultures and beliefs embrace the concept of a third gender, which is now proved to be true by countless amounts of people identifying as non-binary and gender fluid, along with scientific and medical breakthroughs. So transgender people have always existed. Let's move on to something else. Gay animals. You thought you were gonna get through this video without me talking about animals? Well, all three of you know zoology is my special interest, and I'm not going to let you go that easily. So let's talk about some animals that have pushed the gender boundaries. Firstly, I want to introduce you to the New Mexico whiptail lizard, an all-female species which reproduces asexually using parthenogenesis, which is when eggs develop into embryos without fertilization. Now you may be thinking, holy cow, bro, these lizards must be like clones. No, the offsprings are not clones and they don't always have the same chromosomes as the parents. The eggs start off with twice as many chromosomes as an individual that reproduces sexually, and instead of pairing chromosomes, sister chromatids are combined to allow for recombination and genetic diversity. And although lizards aren't really pairing animals, scientists have observed some of these lizards taking on male behaviors. This behavior is pseudocopulation. It's driven by progesterone and involves individuals switching between typical male and female sexual behaviors depending on the state of their partner. So yes, lesbian lizards. Now let's talk about another animal. This is Bridget, and he is a lion that sprouted a mane and began producing testosterone during the middle of their life. Bridget is 18 now, yay same boy, and now lives his life as a male for the most part. It's kind of weird using pronouns like this for an animal, but like, it doesn't really matter because it's a cute lion. But anyway, they say that this won't affect Bridget's health, and they're undergoing blood tests to make sure that everything's in order. But Bridget has in no way been taken back by the sudden change and continues to thrive every single day. Honestly felt. Moving on, snails and slugs are all intersex and have both genitalia. Clownfish, hawkfish, and my favourite humphead wrasse can change sex along with other kinds of fish. Butterflies and cardinals can also change sex and be intersex. Bearded dragons, frogs, and also green sea turtles, all of them can change sex. This goes to show the fluidity of sex in nature, which naturally includes us. And although we can't physically bring ourselves to change our sex, it's normal in nature, and we are a part of nature. to say that we are not a part of nature, this isn't natural for us, we're mutilating ourselves, it's like it. There's another thing that I want to mention, but this is for the second, like, this is for the different part. This is for another part. So just gonna mention that you should watch Zoonosis with Joy's video explaining if animals have gender. It was a very interesting watch, and they are really cool. Okay, this is the bit where I'm just gonna quick fire some statements and explanations, so let's just get into it. Just remember, as we talk, as silly as it may seem to us, for some people it's a genuine question or concern. The thing that I wanted to mention in the last part was when people say that we are mutilating ourselves by getting, like, surgeries. First of all, plastic surgery has existed for a while, right? There are, like, actual horrific genitalia mutilations happening, but you're not focusing on those, you're focusing on transgender people because the media wants you to focus on transgender people because they hate us, man. We are not the bad ones. The people, like, attacking women and mutilating them are the bad guys. I don't know why I have to tell anybody that, but, you know, there it is. Right, but keeping on topic with sex change operations, here is the first myth on my script. We want to do sex change operations on children. Okay, no. So yeah. No, we aren't doing that. It shouldn't be allowed for anyone under 18 to undergo a sex change operation because they aren't an adult and have plenty of growing to do. Although it should be noted that puberty blockers are used for children to avoid early puberty, which can cause stunted growth, as well as obviously transgender people. Therefore, it shouldn't be a bad idea to use this for children who are struggling with gender dysphoria. Adding on to that, sex change operations are often done on newborns who are intersex with the consent of their parents. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's not us doing the operations though. Myth number 2. You can only be trans if you medically transition. Like I explained before, gender does not equal sex. You can be a man and have ovaries or ovarian tissue, be a woman and have testes or male hormones. You do not have to be medically transitioned to be trans. Third myth. Many people regret transitioning. I'm gonna start this one off by saying that more people regret getting a tattoo than transitioning medically. For most trans people, transitioning helps them feel better and more like themselves. Although it is important to mention that most people who detransition were shown to do so because they didn't feel safe enough socially to continue. Fourth myth. We are forcing children to be trans. No. Children develop a sense of gender as young as 3, which is even younger than they develop a relationship with money. And some show signs of gender dysphoria. A case like this has been explored in the transgender issue, and it helped me learn a lot about how people develop and find out that they're trans. We aren't forcing anything, it's just important that kids know that transgender people exist, so they don't feel the need to be rude or anything. It is just learning about the world. It's the same as a children's book showing, like, people of different colours, people wearing religious wear, or with different hairstyles or different clothes. It's exactly the same as that. Just because they're showing gay people or transgender people doesn't change it, because kids need to learn, bro. Kids need to learn. Myth 5. Transgender athletes have unfair advantages. Okay, so the majority of people who say this focus on trans women. For some reason, trans men in male sports aren't really looked at. What's that about, guys? But anyway, they say it's because those with the male anatomy or XX chromosomes have a higher muscle mass and will just beat the cis women immediately. Well, the thing is, it's sport. I read about a wrestling match once where it was a trans woman versus a cis woman, and the cis woman was way bigger and totally beat the other woman. So I don't really think that's the case. If you're really that worried, let's focus on getting a better gender affirming care for young trans people instead, so they can actually get the hormones that they need. Because tell me how I'm 18 and I sound like a 12-year-old boy and I have no hair or anything. Tell me that. But that was a few myths debunked, so let's move on. Okay, this is going to be a quick one because this video is getting way long, I think. I can't really see. So, pronouns are a completely different thing to gender or sex. They're a descriptive word used to describe something or someone. For example, the table was brown. They were all singing. She is a great dancer. And contrary to some belief, they can be used as singular and he can be used to describe a woman, and vice versa. It is no attack on anyone if a man wants to go by she, her, or if a woman wants to use he, him, or if non-binary people want to use they, them, or anything else, by the way. Gender fluid people can have many pronouns. Some people want to be called like they, them. It's character customization. It's just a few syllables. It doesn't matter if like, but no one uses those. No one's gonna, okay, don't use them then. Most people who use neopronouns just want them to be used by their friends online or like by their friends in real life. They don't expect to go into a shop, be served by someone who says, the MX with like 3 packets of Monster Crunch. I don't know. Went a bit off script there, but basically, it is just their lives. If you are so obsessed and offended by that, then I'd consider getting one of your own. But I assume most of you are understanding and intelligent people who want to learn, so that's good. There's been some controversy about he, him lesbians, but it's literally just pronouns, not gender. If he's a man and he is attracted to women, then he's probably straight. But if he's a woman that is attracted to a woman, then good for him. I hope that some things were cleared up with the making of this video. I've been wanting to make this for like a while since making my little document of links, so just thank you so much for sticking with me for this long. Again, if you have any questions, no matter how scared you might be to ask it, just ask it. I will answer. I hope that you have a beautiful day or night. Keep the peace. Goodbye. Old. Minorca woman. Yep. Getting the work. And then I was like, no. There's this like old Spanish people who were like, no, we couldn't understand. I was like, what? Why not? And I thought it was like because it was too deep. Yeah. But then this lovely old Spanish lady, she's like, Medusa. She told us to follow her. And I was like, yeah. And then okay. And then we just go down to look at the whole fucking jellyfish and the fucking weird everywhere. And then we were like, oh. And I was really excited. And I didn't know how to say it in Spanish. I said, your lady really likes animals. He really likes animals.
I love to love you. I hate to hate you. I